Good morning. Hashem. Sunday, Pasha Shmini. We're continuing our Shiur on Chינוך. I would like to start a sugya of a very important sugya, the sugya of child's internal development. In modern psychology, most advanced psychology, they talk a lot about how important it is before we focus on developing the externally the child. We have to have very deep focus and deep focus and care very much about the internal development of the child, of the child's souls and child's emotions. By us in Yiddishkeit, this focus is not something new, because the Rambam and the Vilna Gaon talk a lot about it, about how important it is to be in tune with emotional development of the child, and how important it is to be focused on it, actually to work on it at the younger years of the child, and child's life. The Rambam and the Gro describing there is three cycles, let's call it three cycles, where a person, when a person is develops, how the person developing his internal stabilities. There's three sources to it. We'll say several shiur in it, so we'll start from Shuttas Rambam. That's the Rambam Gro is saying the same, but there is slight nafkaminas difference between Rambam and Gro at operation, not end results. So the Rambam and the Gro is saying there's the three cycles when a person where a person develops his emotional stabilities. Number one, it's the nature what the person receives when he comes to this world. Tchunos a person gets when he comes to this world. Number two is the tchunos, is the nature what the person gets from his environment, from people around him. We call it ashpoas asviva. Sometimes person gets not sometimes, but majority of times person gets influence from outside environment, certain behaviors that makes him adopt those behaviors and makes him act the way he's acting. Number three, the behaviors that the person develop on his own, meaning that's what we call teva sheni. Although a child was born with one nature, but through life experience made him adopt different nature. That's what we call teva sheni. That's basically three cycles, three ways and three areas, where the natures are being developed of the child. Tchunos, the child gets when he comes to this world. Tchunos, the child, the nature that the child gets, receives, adopts from the environment that he is in. And the third one, it's teva sheni, the nature that life experience made him adopt. So let's start. I would like to start from number one, number two, and three versions we'll discuss it later. The first one, the tchunos, the nature that the child gets when it comes to this world. What does that mean? The same way, like when a person comes to this world, everybody comes to different body shapes. One is tall, one is short. One was born with a very strong koyach hashmiye. One that has a very strong koyach hariyeh, very sharp ear, very sharp eye. One was born with good memories. One was born with golden hands. Same thing in the nature, teva. The teva is sometimes kids are born with a very strong tendency, very strong anger tendencies. some kids are born very, very strong tendencies of to become. Some kids are being born with a tendency of jealousy. Some kids being born with a tendency to be conceited, balgaiva. Some being born with more tendencies, some being born with less. That's number one. That's the tchunos, the nature a child gets when it comes to this world. Number two is the tchunos, the nature the child gets from the environment, from surrounding around him. Meaning to say that the child from the first day he's come to this world, he absorbs from outside influence. Meaning to say that everything was going on around him, he absorbs it. From the first minute when it comes to this world, he absorbs everything was going on around him, and has a major impact on him across his life. He does not have a seichel, does not have a brain. His brain capacity is not that great yet to understand and to distinguish to what's good or what's bad, but he just absorbs with sensors, seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, because that's how he absorbs his environment, his surroundings. But the seichel is not yet developed to understand it, to absorb it. But that's we call chameshus achushim, 5 sensors. The child helps the child to absorb what's going on around him, and whatever he hears, whatever he sees, has a major influence on his development, on his brain development, and his emotional development as well. For example, if the child hears, as a child being surrounded with the pleasant voices, pleasant talk, calm talk, or opposite, he being surrounded with very aggressive talk and negative talk, he absorbs it, and it influencing on his personality, it's influencing on his emotional state. Let's say if the child sees or hears, let's say he sees an anger face, or he hears anger talk, he will become accustomed. He will have anger management errors. Even the chiddush of it is, although he was born with the strong tendency to become alive, he was designed to become. Let's say he came already to this world with the component, with the tools to become, but the surrounding can actually rip off that natural ingrained behavior, that ingrained personality of being calm, and forces him to adopt anger personality, anger tchunos, and anger nature. It's because the surrounding influence in him, surrounding of anger influence on him, and enforced him to adopt this anger management behaviors. So let's say the child is around his surrounding is let's say depressing people around him, although he was naturally born, he came to this world with a tendency to be more happier and to be more content in life. That just some people are being born with this tendency just to be constantly happy and content and satisfied. Although this will appear in his life only if his surrounding will match with his ingrained personality. At the time when his surrounding does not match his personality, and his surrounding is more his people, he being surrounded by people who have very strong tendencies to depression, negativities, apathy, or so different stuff, it would actually dispute his natural creation, his natural personality of being happier, and will make him depressed. It's so is positive, negative, everything. His surrounding. I would say even the Rambam going back the counting this as a second component of child development, the surroundings. I think it's far more important. I think it should be counted as the first one, but the Rambam was going saying that, so probably no, it's stuck at the second one. But the facts shows that the surrounding the child's surrounding has much to do with his development, far more than his natural development, than his natural skills, than his natural personalities. We see it in Mamish, we see it in Mitzias. Some kids are happier if they're surrounded by negative people, they become negative. The main area, the main source, what influences that influence that has a major impact on the child and his surroundings. That's very important. That's number one in the Chinuch. His surroundings, the father, the mother, the brothers, the sisters. It has a very, very, very strong impact how the father, mother, brothers and sisters behave. Has a major impact on the child's life. So therefore it's very important on parents to create at home a very good atmosphere, a very pleasant and happy atmosphere. Sometimes you have to force yourself. The parents need to force themselves to create atmosphere. And life, not always life is so pleasant, where the parents themselves have a lot of challenges, a lot of things that not necessarily want it to be the way they are, but we have to force ourselves to be happy, to create a happy, content atmosphere at home. Is for the sake of the child's well-being. It's very important for parents to have shulam bayis and achdos and simcha. We perceive shulam bayis as something which it will be for the sake of the parents of the couple to have shulam bayis between husband and wife, so the husband and wife should have better life. But I think it's far more important than that. It's when the husband and wife don't have shulam bayis, I don't think for them to expect their kids should become healthier and emotionally stable. It's I would call it high expectations, because the house atmosphere between the relationship between husband and wife has much to do with the child's development, but really a lot. We see it also the fact that kids who are coming from homes which that father and mother have had a good relationship. I mean to say that the father and the wife, the husband and the wife don't have to show, don't have to live 24/7 harmony. Otherwise, it should be so. But certainly, the husband and the wife need to have a relationship in a sense of having shulam bayis, simcha, and generate that happiness at home, because it's the happiness which comes from the husband to wife. It's like I would say 70% of child well-being, 70%. Another 30% is just education, but 70% of the child's well-being is based on how much pleasant atmosphere a parent generating at home. Now, parents are very, very worried about the streets. We're very worried about, when we send our child to the school, to the streets, so he should have he or she have a good friends, because very, very, very much concerned, the child should not get influenced by bad friends on the streets. But I think it's far more, the rule in it is that the street will influence on the child only when the child comes from the home, when there is no shulam bias, when there is no actus and I would call it love between husband and wife. Then this atmosphere itself puts the child on certain vulnerability and exposure to get influenced by the street. And that child that comes from a home where there is a simche and achdus between husband and wife, and there's always happy, there's no disputes, disagreements, yelling, screaming, or negative talk, and just being raised in a very warm and happy home. It's very hard for a street to influence the child. It's very hard for bad friends to break the child and influence on the child certain bad behaviors. At majority of times, though the teenagers who are ending up being drug addicts or different stuff, they come at majority of times they come from the homes which did not generate that happy atmosphere. And it's very important to know for parents that Pikud Hashem Mesamach Alev, Torah. How do we know if if the whatever? How would they know that? How the parents know if we are keep our Torah? If it's the chumras and anything, it's Torah the chumras, or it's not Torah the chumras. It's as much happiness we get. Meaning to say, there's certain chumras, certain things that parents do, which makes them very edgy, very angry. So this chumras needs to be adjusted. Let's call it this way, adjusted, because if it does not bring content and happiness to the parents, mean to say that it has less shayches, less connection to Torah, because Pikud Hashem is shorim mesamach alev. If something is yashrus, Toyradik, it gives happiness to a person. So sometimes the religion itself causes certain, for parents, certain discomforts and agony, discomforts, anger. So sometimes it's okay to to cool off and to come down for certain chumras, just for sake to keep that simcha at home. So you forsake for your kids, so they're growing, they should grow up in a happy atmosphere at home. So it's very important rule. It's very important rule. The parents themselves need to generate happy, content atmosphere at home. Because home, the kids are like a tree. They're like beautiful flowers. If the flowers being raised on the rotten earth, the whole flower will be very schwach, very weak. But if the ground of the flower grows from, it's solid, it's healthy, it has minerals, so then the flower becomes very strong. The minerals for the flower for our kids, to stay strong and to stay strong depends a lot how much happiness, that mineral of happiness the parents generate in their homes. Chaim Kanievsky, Zichron Livrucha, writes in his Sefer Orchas Yosher as follows, very, very powerful words. V'hinei. We know there's Parsha with Soyer and Moira. Soyer and Moira is very interesting Parsha, that the child that eats a lot of meat or drinks wine, the whole halachas Pashas Kiseitze, he needs to be stoned. Why? Because the way he goes, the way it looks like right now, he'll end up to be a robber, be a Rasha. So therefore, he should. The Chazal say, "Mutav she imois zakai val imois chayev." Let him go to the olam haba al zakai, not to be a Rasha, al tzaddik, and not al Rasha. And Pasuk states as follows: the halacha was the parents they needed to take out the child to the bezdin, and they need to say to the bezdin as follows: the omerel zikna iroi, and the parents should say to the bezdin, "B'neinu zeh soyrere moyre, einene shemeya bekoilenu zoylu v'soyve, einene shemeya bekoilenu." So Rav Chaim Kanievsky Zochran Baruch Medayek, einenu shemeya bekoilenu. He does not listen to our words. So Rav Chaim is saying bekoilenu. It's a loshon, which brings together koilenu, our language, our talk. So Rav Chaim is saying as follows: V'hinai chelik gadol ma'chinuch, big part of the chinuch is nahagus ahoyrim bebeis. It's a big part in the chinuch is how the parents are behaving in their home. Because asfurim shezeu shomri im imoy shuv leuve bekoil eno nasa besoyder moyre. If he listens only to one parent, if that, let's say mother says one statement, the father says different statement, this dispute. A child which being raised at the home where there's constant dispute between father and mother is not shemeh bekoilenu. It's not koilenu. Koilenu only when the father and mother are on one page and together they're releasing a statement to the child, and then the child does not listen to their statement, he becomes a Seire Moire. At the time when there is no that achdus between father and mother, and each of them just saying whatever he wants to say, and they're arguing and they're not on the same page. So and therefore the son became a Seire Moire. There's no halach with Seire Moire. Shezeh remeshim ove v'imoy ein mishtavim b'divreim. They're not equal, not on the same page with their words, with their request. V'zeh oimer yamin, the father says the right side. V'zeh oimer smoil, v'aben roya merivois, and that this son sees the constant dispute and disagreements between father and mother. Ein magia lo mise. It does not, is not being killed, it's not being stoned. It's not his fault why he became a Soire Moire. He's saying that when the child sees the merivois, he sees these disagreements, disputes, condemn, criticism, when the father on the mother and the mother and the father, and the child participating in it, and he sees it and absorbs it, has very major negative impact on the child that leads him to a spectrum, to all kind of psychological problems. With the psychological problems makes him become a dropout. It's not its fault. Meaning to say, most probably he's not going into Gehenna. It's not his fault. There is a reason why he became emotionally unstable. It made him to do sins and to do averas and to do whatever he does. It's not his fault, Reb Chaim is saying. It's not his fault that he became non-frum, he dropped out. Nor the parents' behavior, they did not have shulam bayis between themselves. That's what led the child to become non-frum. Havladige chidush was Archas Yeshu saying here, Reb Chaim. Here's the comments. Here we see from Reb Chaim's words how important this for parents, and how far it goes, the parents' behavior, how much it impacts on the child, the parents' behavior. And the same way as negative behavior, not having shulam bayis, influence negatively on the child, so is opposite. How much the loving relationship between husband and wife impacts positively on the child, and how much happiness it gives him, to him content, and it just makes him grow higher and higher. And it's mamash mitzias. Reb Chaim is saying בדרך כלל, בדרך כלל, as a general rule, a child being raised in a home where there is shulam, achdus, unity, simcha, and happiness, is mashpi al matzav hayelad, is mashpi on the internal part of the child. And as a majority of times, the kids who come from this kind of home, toivim, they're good kids and they're healthy emotionally as well. And Rab Chaim is saying vice versa also. Kids which come from the home when there is merivos, there is disagreement, disputes, condemn, criticism. It's very small chances that the child will become someone. He will become somebody who will violate the Torah, but to expect that this child will become like a righteous man, righteous Jew, it's a high expectation. It needs to have a big nest for this child to appear to be a normal human being. Even I'm not talking about them from meat. No, a healthy, just a normal person. So it's very important, number one, in Chinuch, to provide the child with that simcha, serenity atmosphere, an atmosphere of love. It's not to love the child. It's technically we're highly focused on love, for giving the child the love. It's important. It's very important to love the child, but it's far more important to create for a child loving atmosphere. When the child see that there is a love between husband and wife, he's not requesting so much love anymore. He's requesting very normal love. But when the child just seeing how much the parents are connected with each other, how much parents are loving each other, and how much they're on the same page with each other. They don't condemn each other, they don't criticize each other, they treat and they talk to each other in a very respectful manner, and they mechabed each other. And this all has a major impact on the child. So number one is the parents, we need to highly focus on our relationship between husband and wife. And as more we bring out, as more we show, of course, it has to be with a very very balanced level, how much we show the love. But I'm not talking right now the intimate relationship between husband and wife. Of course, it's not should be seen the child, but the love in a sense of talking to each other, husband and wife talking to each other with respect, using good words, machabot, respecting each other, being more or less on the same page. And when sometimes there is a certain happens in the marriage life that there is a dispute with husband and wife, it should never be discussed in front of the kids. If you want to talk to your spouse, just go in a different room or go on just on a date and discuss it somewhere, but not in front of the kids. And in front of the kids need to see a loving relationship between parents. And it's more this seeing it. And it's number one. Before we start to love our kids, before we focus on providing love to our kids, we have to focus to provide love to each other. Before we focus to respect our kids, we have to respect each other. And that is impossible for parents to respect their kids and to respect and to love their kids if they don't love each other. Love is something that can be channeled to your kids, but it's love that can be created. It means to say, when there's overflowing love between husband and wife, so this will overflow to your kid. And kids just by loving each other, the parents loving each other, the child will feel loved. When the parents don't respect each other, don't love each other, the child won't feel love, and of course he will demand love. And love dafka, it's very hard when the child does not feel, when the child does not feel, is not feeling love, he does not feel that he's being loved, it's very hard to make him love, because he's still missing that overflowing love from his parents. So is before we start to worry about the streets, bad friends, maybe influence your child, maybe the friends will introduce the child to smoking, to join drugs, to different bad pictures, bad videos. It's important to be focused on it, but number one we should focus on is creating a relationship between husband and wife. It's not a relationship of respecting each other, of loving each other. And in the home, and at home, where there is love between husband and wife, it's certainly secured. It provides this child certain security of to remain healthier, to be loyal to Hashem and the Torah. And he will feel loved as well. He won't be so hungry to be loved. And this hunger very hard to satisfy, because there's more than some hunger to be loved. He's hungry to be loved, to receive that love from overflowing love from the parents to him. So I think we should, those people who it's just for the sake of the kids, and the sake of the kids. It's not only, I'm not talking about even, it's a good stamuzoi for husband to and wife just to have shulam bayis, but sake of the kids is very important to create this mineral, to create that loving atmosphere at home, because it will have major impact on the child, not only now, but all across his life. Bezat Hashem will continue tomorrow.